Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang saya hormati Bapak Muhammad Yusuf Kalla, former Vice President of the Republic of Indonesia, Your Excellencies Minister Erik Solheim of Norway, Minister James Pace of the United Kingdom, Your Honor, Ms. Frances Seymour, the Director General of CIFOR, Excellencies, Ministers and Ambassadors, Chiefs of the international organizations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me begin by welcoming all of you to this important conference. It is indeed an honor and pleasure for me and my government to be part of this important meeting. The theme of this conference, Forest Indonesia, Alternative Futures to Meet the Demand for Food, Fuel, Fiber, and REDD+, is very relevant and timely. For Indonesia, like many other countries blessed with tropical forests, are facing the challenge of sustainably managing its vitally important forest resources. Hence, let me congratulate the organizers, CIFOR and their partners, for bringing together under one roof forest stakeholders from all over Indonesia and the world. We have among us government officials and representatives of NGOs, civil society, as well as the business and academic communities. We may have different backgrounds, but we all have known the pleasure of resting in the cool shade of a tree. It would be nice if one day we could organize a conference like this in the open air, protected from the heat of the sun by the green crown of sturdy trees. I am glad that this conference discussions and its outcome will be shared online by audiences worldwide, including the forthcoming COP17 in Durban, South Africa. This will be an excellent opportunity for us to stress on the importance to walk the talk and not just talk the talk. On my part, I will continue my work and dedicate the last 3 years of my term as president to deliver enduring results that will sustain and enhance the environment and forests of Indonesia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, exactly 6 months ago, in the same hotel, I spoke before the participants to the Business for the Environment Conference, or B4E Conference. During that meeting, I dared the business world to think innovatively to create a balance between gaining economic benefit and ensuring the preservation and sustainability of the global environment. The aim of today's meeting, logically, is to build upon the discussion held last April and reaffirm Indonesia's pioneering role in harnessing forestry to the global effort to address climate change. Indeed, forests are so dear to my heart, and I am sure all of you also hold it close to your heart. Forests are so precious because, in the first place, if it were not for their air-filtering trees, we would all be breathing in polluted air and living in a much hotter world. If it weren't for the shelter and food that forests provide, we would have scarce, if any, biodiversity at all. And the wonders of the animal world, such as the Sumatran tiger, the rhinoceros, and the orang-utan, would have gone extinct a long time ago. And most importantly, if it weren't for the benefit that our forests provide, then our way of life, our people, our economy, our environment, and our society would be so much poorer. Hence, the core of my message today is that our success in managing our forests will determine our future and the opportunities that will be available to our children. And yet, our forests remain under tremendous pressure. Globally, we are facing the challenge of climate change and environmental degradations. Global warming increasingly threatens our livelihood and even our very survival. On top of that, because we are facing another global financial crisis, nations may lose vigor in meeting their environment-related commitments. As a developing nation, we prioritize the promotions of growth and the eradication of poverty. But we will not achieve this goal by sacrificing our forests. We must attain both development and the management of our forests simultaneously. This is because forest management is tightly intertwined with the livelihood of our people, with our food security, with the availability of wood and fuel. It is also closely linked with climate change. Therefore, we need to take bold initiative through close collaboration and partnership with all stakeholders. We must change the way we treat our forests so that they are conserved even as we drive hard to accelerate our economic growth. We must intensify our efforts to cut down emissions from land use change, and forestry exploitation. These factors account for up to 85% of Indonesia's entire greenhouse gas emission. I do not want to later explain to my granddaughter, Almira, that we in our time could not save the forest and the people that depends on it. I do not want to tell her the sad news that the tiger, rhinoceros, and orangutan vanish like the dinosaurs. And I am sure that none of you would want to deliver such grim news to your children and your grandchildren. I am sure that you all want to see that those forests will still be there several decades from now, fascinating us with their beauty and the mysterious they hold, and still providing economic benefits while help stabilize the climates of planet Earth. And I am also sure that you would like this forest to become our precious legacy for our children. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me now bring up a few questions that are relevant to your discussion in this meeting. First, at the global level, what would Indonesia's sustainable forest management efforts mean? Indonesia's tropical forests are the third largest in the world, and they are central to our economy, environment, and society. Our forests host roughly 12% of the world mammals, 16% of its reptiles and amphibians, and 17% of all bird species. Over 10,000 species of trees have been recorded across the archipelago. Each year, many new species are discovered in Indonesia. This biological gift is intertwined with the rich cultural diversity of Indonesia's forests. Forests are the linchpin to our biodiversity. They are home to bees, bats, birds, insects, and other pollinators of the crops we plant. They also help regulate the quality and availability of water for irrigation. Forests provide food, including seeds, leaves, fruit, roots, gums, mushroom, and habitat for animals. Indonesia, home to the third largest tropical forest in the world, views itself as the custodians of these great green treasures, and I want to keep it that way. So we are gathered here to deal collectively with those challenges to our forests. My next question is then, Why is sustainable forest management so important to Indonesia? The first reason is food security. Indonesia's 238 million citizens are under pressure of rising commodity prices. The government of Indonesia is pursuing a program to increase agricultural and forest productivity, particularly through the cultivation of critical and idle lands. In this regard, we have selected centers of rice production in several provinces throughout Indonesia. Indeed, the sustainability of forests is crucial to an abundant rice harvest. Secondly, in the area of energy security, our forests are home to potential sources of energy such as microhydro, geothermal, and bioenergy. We are increasing the portions of alternative sources of energy in our energy mix. Forest ecosystem offer competitive advantage by making possible the replacement of conventional fuels by renewable energy sources. Thirdly, Indonesia is a major supplier of fiber. Indonesia's land availability and the fresh growth of many tree species, supported by favorable tropical climate, have also increased the economic value of our forests. Fourthly, forests make the terrain more resistant to landslide that threaten many communities. They are vital to efforts at mitigating and adapting to climate change, the impact of which is now being felt all over our archipelago and the rest of the world. Also, our mangrove forests, the largest in the world, can protect coastal communities from the devastation that can be inflicted by storms and tsunamis. Moreover, mangrove forests serve as nurseries to many fish species that are of great commercial importance and also crucial to our food security. And lastly, through our effort at reducing CO2 emission, Indonesia can make a significant positive impact on the climate situation. In this regard, although our peat swamp forests are the largest in the world, they have suffered degradations that has greatly diminished their capacity to reduce CO2 emission. Restoration is therefore very essential. Hence, it is clear that Indonesia's forests are of immense value. They offer us a lot of opportunities and benefits. We therefore need to go into partnership with all stakeholders to sustainably manage our forest resources. Ladies and gentlemen, to ensure the sustainability of our forests while still meeting our development objectives, my government has given priority to a set of policies and actions to safeguard our forests and ensure their sustainable management. I made a pledge at the G20 summit in Pittsburgh that we in Indonesia will voluntarily reduce our greenhouse gas emission by 26% from business as usual levels by 2020. Since then, my government has carried out many initiatives. In 2010, we signed a letter of intent with the government of Norway to cut emissions by reducing deforestation and forest degradation. This is known as REDD+, a concept that was launched in Bali in 2007. In May this year, I instituted a 2-year moratorium on new licenses to exploit natural primary forests and all peatlands. About 2 weeks ago, I signed a decree outlining more than 70 self-funded government programs. This is a demonstration of our commitment to reduce by 26% our projected emission in 2020 under a business-as-usual scenario. These are groundbreaking steps, but they are not goals in themselves. They are simply measures that give us time and resources to review and revise land use policy and practices. They also provide opportunity to develop a new sector in our economy through ecosystem restoration concession for carbon sequestration and emission reduction. Apart from the moratorium, we have built indicative maps that are important to the implementation of REDD+ and to the formulations of wise, correct policies related to forests. These maps will also facilitate the resolution of decades-long problems of land use and land tenure. I have also signed a decree to set up a task force for the establishment of a REDD+ agency, as stated in the letter of intent between Indonesia and Norway. We are also developing a national strategy on REDD+. The strategy includes elements such as the establishment of REDD+ institutions, the formation of relevant financial mechanisms, monitoring, and benefit sharing. To this end, and to meet the REDD expected target, global funding is necessary. I am happy to inform you that there are now more than 40 REDD+ pilot or demonstration projects across Indonesia. This makes us a pioneer in creative ways to address climate change. It also provides us with research insight that will enrich our discussion today and at the forthcoming global negotiation in COP17 in Durban, South Africa. Another initiative of ours is the Forest 11 Forum that we launched 4 years ago, which has brought together major tropical forest countries. My government has also pursued bilateral forestry cooperation with several countries. In the light of international enthusiasm for sustainable forest management, our local stakeholders must also take an active role in this field. I call upon our business leaders, particularly those in the palm oil, pulpwood, and mining sectors, to partner with us by enhancing the environmental sustainability of their operations. Still another initiative is the provision of funding for small and medium enterprises run by Forest 8 inhabitants, microfinance program for the rural poor and for women, and local development project for local villages, known in Indonesia as PNPM. At the grassroots level, we have also launched a massive campaign program to plant 1 billion trees nationwide annually. It is said that an apple a day keeps the doctors away. I would like to say 1 billion trees a year shield the world lung from decay. Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, despite our modest achievement, I am mindful that these efforts will only take us part of the way toward our emission reduction target. A long journey still awaits us. We know we must do more. We must do more to address the primary sources of our greenhouse emissions, such as illegal logging, forest encroachment, forest and land fires, and peatland drainage. And indeed, we are working hard and comprehensively to overcome these challenges. At the same time, we are mainstreaming all this perspective and commitment into special development framework. Our endeavors to effectively protect the environment are reflected in a special 15-year master plan to accelerate and expand our economic development. This means that sustainable development is part and parcel of our effort to boost Indonesia's economy so that it will become the 12th largest economy by 2025. This meeting is of great value of Indonesia. It is a contribution to global effort at protecting forests. and to the advance of the climate change discourse. I am especially pleased to see many business leaders here today because they bring decades of experience to the table and help to shape the future of our nation's forests. I encourage all of you to foster greater cooperation with international partners. I ask you to join me in pledging to safeguard this national treasure for the sake of our children. And as I mentioned earlier, Indonesia, as custodian of one of the largest tropical forests of the world, will continue to maintain a pro-environment growth strategy. The task before us today is to chart a sustainable future for our forests and meet our development objectives. This is not an easy task, but we will pay a much higher price if we do not take up the challenge. By working hard together, we can help guarantee the future of our forests and the future of our children and grandchildren. And that future begins now. I thank you.